ESPN predicts the Chicago Bulls will be 8th in the Eastern Conference this season. Here's why they're wrong, starting now. Now, if you are new to the channel, please like the video. Please subscribe to the page. We do talk Chicago Bulls daily on this channel. It's the only channel talking Chicago Bulls, how Chicago talks. So make sure that you get in tune with us, man. So ESPN has put out its projected win totals for the Eastern Conference. They have Boston leading the way at 54, tied with Milwaukee at 54. Not mad at either of those. Miami still up there, top 3 at 51. Philadelphia with 50 wins. Interesting. Toronto moving up the totem pole with 47 wins. Okay. All right. Atlanta now on the list with 46 wins. The Cleveland Cavaliers taking a leap and getting up to 45 wins. And here come your Chicago Bulls in 8th place with 44 wins. Now here's my thing. I understand basing a lot of things off of injury and how guys could be in the lineup and how guys couldn't be in the lineup and different things that ended up last season, right? But going into the new season, I feel like you have to base your predictions off of, well, we don't know if these guys are going to be unhealthy or not. So it seems like they're healthy. They're going to be healthy, because I can talk about injury for every team on this list. But I want people to look at what the Chicago Bulls did last season while dealing with injury, while dealing with COVID, while dealing with losing major players that were playing through injury just to be on the team. That was still a 46-win team. You mean to tell me that a fully healthy Chicago Bulls team, now I'm sure there'll be some injury this season, every team goes through it, but a fully healthy Chicago Bulls team is 2 games worse? You're telling me that going out and adding Andre Drummond to this team, where we had our rebounding issues, we're 2 games worse than Patrick Williams being on the floor every night to help out with not only defense, but also with rebounding. We're 2 games worse? Huh? This is my thing. And I know why they do this, right? Because they know Chicago fans are going to respond to it, because we got that smoke, we about that action. But guess what? Here comes that smoke. Here's what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, right, the Atlanta Hawks had DeJounte Murray. Now, all of a sudden, they're a 46-win team. I don't think the Atlanta Hawks won't be a playoff team. I think they will be a playoff team. But we're acting like that's not going to take a second for that to be figured out. We're acting like that's not going to take a little bit of time for them to kind of figure out how to play off of each other, how to play well together, right? There's a lot of question marks around that Atlanta team. Just adding DeJounte Murray doesn't instantly make you a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. Just because the Chicago Bulls didn't do anything this offseason doesn't mean that this team is missing out. Oh, and by the way, the thing that all of those top teams, those top 3 teams, minus everybody else, maybe you throw Toronto in there as well, minus everybody else in there has, that those teams don't have, is continuity. And guess what? That's the one thing that AK bet on this year. That's the one thing that you look at with this Chicago Bulls team and you say, well, at least these guys know how to play with each other. DeMar DeRozan, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, even though Lonzo in limited time, but you saw it when they were together. Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, Ayo Dosunmu, I can name all these guys, right? They were here last year. You didn't lose too much. You added more than you lost this season, and you were a 46-win team last season. So that must mean that ESPN feels like the Chicago Bulls are going to lose something that's on this team already, that already worked, right? They feel like the Chicago Bulls are not going to get the same production out of something that's on this team already, that's already worked. And so that's the question that I have when we get to the other side of this video. What do you think that they think we're going to lose, and why are they wrong? Let's keep it going. Now, before I continue with the video, I do want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Where do you think Chicago Bulls finish in the Eastern Conference? I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. Also, if ESPN is wrong, man, drop a come on, y'all. So here's my thing with the ESPN prediction. They have to believe one of 2 things with this Chicago Bulls team, right? They have to believe either one, DeMar DeRozan will not be able to play as well as he did last season, which is an interesting thing to take into account, right? Because it's not about him putting up as many points as he did last season. In fact, I would like him to put up less points last season, but they have to believe that DeMar DeRozan won't be as efficient as last season, because I don't know, because he's getting older. That if that's your belief, that's your belief, right? But here's my thing. DeMar DeRozan's been efficient his entire career. Even when he took a step back, he was an incredibly efficient player down in San Antonio. He was somebody that actually added to the team by taking less shots because he was being more involved in facilitating. He was being more involved in rebounding the ball. He was being more involved in the defense down in San Antonio. So you're telling me that a guy who, when he does take a step back scoring, gets involved in the offense in other ways is going to hurt the Chicago Bulls, and I just don't believe that. Or they believe the other option, that Zach LaVine is not the player that we think he is, which is another interesting thing to look at, right? Because you're talking about a player who it took injury for him to score 3 less points than he scored in his best season in his career. By the way, an injury that essentially had him playing on one leg all season, and yet he was still able to be a top 12 scorer in the NBA, one of the best offensive players in the NBA, one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. You see where I'm going here, right? But those are the only 2 options that I look at and I say, oh yeah, this Chicago Bulls team is definitely going to be worse. I think even if we're missing Lonzo Ball, that can't be an option that you're looking at and you say this Bulls team is going to be worse, because Ayo Dosunmu spent a considerable amount of time on the floor, not only playing well, but clamping up your best favorite players on your team. I went through the list on one of these videos, right, talking about all the players that struggled against Ayo Dosunmu. Darius Garland had struggles against Ayo Dosunmu. Trae Young had struggles against Ayo Dosunmu, right? Like, those are guys that really struggled to score the basketball, and they're some of the best scorers in the NBA right now. So again, if Lonzo Ball is where you look at and you say, oh, well, without Lonzo, this team's not going to win as much. Again, I ask you, what did we lose that we had last season that makes us 2 games worse? Now, the question comes down to this. Where do I think I see the Bulls finishing out this season? I'm not mad at either of their top 3, right? Boston to me is a top 3 team. Milwaukee to me is a top 3 team. Miami to me is still a top 3 team. I got a lot of belief in Jimmy Butler. It is what it is, right? It sucks, but it is what it is. Philly is my biggest question mark on this list. Philadelphia to me is a team that there isn't a lot of continuity. And listen, they might be a good regular season team, right? I don't know. They still probably will end up being a top 5 team no matter what. But the biggest question here is this the same James Harden as last season, or will this James Harden be better? Just because James Harden says he's going to be better doesn't mean James Harden's actually going to play better. Doesn't mean that all of a sudden his efficiency is going to return to what it once was. Doesn't mean that he's going to be closer back to Houston James Harden. Now, if he becomes Houston James Harden, guarantee you this, they will be a 50-win team. That is a dangerous team. But Houston James Harden was what? 4 years ago at this point, right? Because remember, he comes back in the fat suit when he was the last iteration of Houston James Harden. So we're talking about the top tier Houston James Harden that this Philly team needs to be as good as everybody says it is. I have some question marks on that. Also, the guy that was really giving Joel Embiid the most amount of rest on that team, he plays for us now. The guy that was allowing Joel Embiid to sit out 10, 15 minutes at a time, 20 minutes sometimes at a time, he plays for us now. He's in our bench unit. He's our big man now. Yeah, I'm saying, you get what I'm saying here? Like, Joel Embiid was exhausted by the end of the season. So I'm all of a sudden to believe that just because James Harden says, I'm going to be the offensive juggernaut again, this Philly team is going to be a top team. When a lot of those wins that they got last year, listen, they were above 50 wins last year, right? But a lot of the wins that they got last year came with the other team. So I have a tough time just saying like Philly's gonna really put it together and dominate the Eastern Conference. I don't know, maybe that's just me, maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how the season plays out, right? But I'm not buying it. Toronto moving up, okay, I kind of see that. Scotty Barnes, really nice player, and they already had a nice team around him. I like that. Atlanta, I'm not convinced on. Show me, right? And it's the same thing I said with Atlanta last season. I told Atlanta to show me again last season why you were in the Eastern Conference Finals. You know what they didn't do? They didn't show me. So I have a tough time with that team as well. Cleveland is an interesting team that's ahead of us. I'm not going to lie to you. Cleveland could be a better team than projected. I think their biggest hole right now is Karis LeVert, because I don't think he's an off-ball player. I don't think that works with him as an off-ball player. I think you'll never get the same production as you will get with him on ball. And you saw him struggle last season with that kind of positioning, right? You saw him really struggle in the playing the off ball guard position, right? Because he's so used to just being able to have the ball in his hands and attack downhill and dominate. When he beat the Bulls, everybody points at that. It was like, remember when he dropped all them points on the Bulls and he was dominating us? And it's like, yeah, but he had the ball in his hand the entire time. So I have a tough time just thinking that, oh yeah, he's gonna come out of and be on fire playing the shooting guard position with Darius Garland playing the point. I just don't believe. I feel like you're in a similar situation with him that you were in with Colin Sexton. It's just now Darius Garland is the point guard. But I do think down low they got a lot of nice production. I think Cleveland will be a team that could be higher up in the standing. I think they could be a top 5 team if I'm being honest with you, right? I think the Bulls, to me, if I'm talking about where this team finishes, I think the Bulls to me are a top 5 team in the NBA. I think the Bulls possibly could break that 4 spot. My top 5 right now would be Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, Bulls, and then I'm gonna go Philly. Yes, I do have the Bulls over Philly. I know that sounds crazy. Fight me. But hey, listen, I want to know how you guys feel, man. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down to talk with you as well. As always, man, it's your boy Pat the Designer, back at it again to continue watching our Chicago Bulls content. Click the links on the screen or check the links in the description below. Stop playing with us, ESPN. I can't wait till we make y'all each other. I can't wait. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Peace.